West Ham United 0, Arsenal 6. I looked at my watch and looked out and I thought, this could get seriously embarrassing. Not that it wasn't, but 65 minutes gone and it was 6-0. How bad could it have got? It could have got a whole lot worse. Martin O'Neill alongside us. Many fans suggesting they're not playing for the manager. Do you find that strange when you hear that as a former manager, Martin?
Yeah, was it not the recent caller just said lost faith in the way they play? At what moment did they decide this? Did they decide this at 10:30 in the morning? Did they decide this for a pre-match meal or something like this here? What about Zuma? What about these lads just doing their jobs? What about that? What about them actually defending properly in the game? It's got nothing to do with losing faith in what the manager's saying. At the end of the day, that they've had a decent record in the last 18 months of what he's been saying. So it's come up trumps quite a number of times. So I'm getting back to the point. Zuma doesn't do this job. Alvarez doesn't do the job. He looks as if he was, towing a car at the end of the day, just couldn't run. Aguerd exactly the same. So boys have to do their jobs. That's what they set out to do. They were given something to do and they didn't do it. Yeah,
I remember the hierarchy at West Ham telling me, Simon, Zuma is going to be expensive. I'm not sure we can get to that kind of level. If we do, we'll have to push it some. And they pushed it some to pay him what he wanted.
130 grand a week, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, I was never enamoured of him. As I said to you off air, the most accurate thing he's kicked in recent times has been that bloody cat. Listen, he is what... And then, of course, the flip side of that argument will be, who signed him? Look, you can't have it both ways, but there is more. There are better performances. If you look at, I was watching the game being analysed, and of course Stephen Warnock was putting my feet to sleep last night with some of his over-analysing, but the defending capabilities of where they were and what they were doing and what they were watching and how switched on they were, and they constantly picked out Zuma as being asleep at the wheel. Yeah. Not paying attention when corners, not even looking at the person he's supposed to be marking, constantly being turned in such a way that the forward can see his number, which is the worst place for someone to be in if you're a centre-back. So all things being equal, you have to look at, as Martin has said, and Martin has made it far more eloquently than I've made the point, which is these players were not doing their jobs. It is, of course, the manager's message that they have to respond to, but you can lead a horse to water and sometimes they just won't bloody drink. Yeah. And in this instance, they didn't. Yeah.
Many fans getting in touch, Martin. I'll just read out the number again: 03717 223344. Martin. Sorry.
It's just that we all know that the buck stops with the manager. That's the point. So good performances, bad performances, they're judged the same. I just think that players should take a bit more responsibility. I have to accept that point, that they can take the accolades when everything's going great, but eventually that the manager's one that carries the can.
Yes, absolutely. Declan Rice scores the sixth goal. Did you appreciate the way that he chose not to celebrate, Martin?
I wasn't bothered one way or the other. Because he could do what he wants. He can celebrate. He can jump around the stadium. I think he did a celebratory walk at the end. To half-filled stadium. At the end, he can do what he wants. He scored a really good goal. He's a really good player. And whatever he does.
Do you like the principle? Do you like the principle of players that have had a relationship with a club, then when they score for their new employers, not getting involved with the overzealous celebrations that we normally attribute to goal scorers?
Yeah, when it set out in the very first time that I'd ever seen it, which was about 20 odd years ago, I think, I thought that was nice. Now I'm kind of fed up with it.
So if he'd have been playing for England and scored against your Republic of Ireland and celebrated profusely, what would you have thought?
I would have thought that that's how he felt. And that is it. It's exactly how you feel at the time. If you feel like celebrating or you feel as if you've had a bad time at another club, let's say, for instance, and you've gone over exuberant celebrations, that's good, okay, fine, absolutely right. But if you feel as if you had some time and it was a good time there, and he had a really, really good time at West Ham United, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because there was a section of the West Ham support booed him yesterday, Martin.
That's all you're going to get.
He showed class by not having a snipe back at them when he popped it in.
Absolutely, you'll get that.
Yeah. West Ham fans getting in touch in numbers this morning. We thought they would, of course, after a result like that. And to a degree, because of the run they've been on, this seems to prove to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Simon is a big West Ham fan. Simon, good morning. You were there yesterday, mate. What did you witness?
Something that's been coming for a long time, to be fair. But So I don't think anyone was greatly shocked. 6 was a bit of a shock, but 3, 4, or 5 was like it was coming along at some stage, and yesterday was the day. But what I'd like to suggest to you is, West Ham fans do get slightly frustrated with when people pass comment about what do you expect and all this kind of stuff. Can I bring up a point that's much missed by people like Simon, who don't have their eyes on West Ham all the time? A lot of people that are particularly not enamoured with Moyes, of which I'm one of, nobody seems to realise that 9 players between January and July of this year will be walking out the door for nothing. 9 players. We're going to have to replace those 9 players. We know that Mr. Sullivan's always claiming that FFP is going to be strict to spending money. So the manager has been aware that 9 players are out of contract in June of this year, and he's been aware of that for 18 months, and he has done nothing about it. We walk into January, and he lets go another 5. Another 5 players walked out the door in January and were replaced by none. We've got Ben Johnson playing left wing. We've got Souček, who is apparently undroppable, although he does nothing. This is the frustration with people that aren't particularly enamoured with Moyes, like myself. We know the background to other stuff. Whereas if we,
but I remember listening to you guys and lots of you guys, and I remember. I mean, I follow West Ham with a degree of keen interest, and I remember you hounding John Lyall out in 1987. You weren't having Sam Allardyce when he got you back out of the Championship. You weren't having Alan Pardew when he got you out of the Championship, and you lost to us in the first playoff final in 2004. And then I look at you guys going, "Oh, you let Grady Degana go. He's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Moyes let him go, and he stunk the place at West Brom for the last 2 years." What you seem to do is spend all your time in the debit column and none of your time's in the credit column.
Is that fair, Simon?
Are you me specifically, or
no? A section of the West Ham support.
Yeah, the people that think
and for that matter, you.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I am certainly one of them, because I hear from people like Simon and yourself, Jim, who give eternal credit to Moyes. What we're trying to do, or what I'm trying to do, is tell you or point out to you some of the stuff that you're probably not aware of, like the fact that there are 9 players leaving for nothing in June, and he's known it for 18 months, and he's done nothing about it.
But the player contracts, is that not an ownership matter?
Well, he's the manager of the team / squad. He knows 9 players are leaving for free in July 2024, and yet in the last window, he let another 5 go. We've got 16 first 11 players, of which Danny Ings and Thomas Souček are 2 of them. So that's 14. Maxwell Cornet, who he won't even look at. So you're literally down to about 11 players that we've got. He's the manager. He manages the club.
No, he manages. Sorry, Simon, I've got to pull you up on that a little bit, mate. And first and foremost, I give David Moyes plenty of criticism when I think he entirely merits it over the period of time since he's been an Everton manager, Preston manager, a Sociedad manager, Sunderland manager, and of course a West Ham manager. But when you start telling me, as a former owner, that the manager gets to tell me which players he's going to retain without my input, and if I'm telling the manager these players are going to go, the manager's got 2 choices: he gets on with it or he walks away. So with that in mind, you're attributing things, because David Moyes, as far as you're concerned, is done. You don't want him there anymore. He's finished. You're grateful for his service, but you want to move him along. You're now going to attribute him to everything that's been done, from the third gunman on the grassy knoll to the conspiracy theory that every single player that leaves the football club is because David Moyes is alone in this decision-making process.
Right. Okay. What I'd say to that is this hasn't happened. I haven't felt like this because we got done 6-0 yesterday. I felt like this for the last 2 years with David Moyes. Is that the 11 people he puts out on the pitch, he has an interest in. The rest of it, he seems to shine no lights on whatsoever. Now, you're saying, is it not just an ownership problem as well as? Well, let's not go down the David Sullivan route, because if you're talking about who wants Moyes in and Moyes out, if you did a programme on who wants Sullivan in or Sullivan out, don't you worry, you wouldn't get.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Sullivan is, so don't go down that road.
I can relate to that one.
Right. I mean, Simon, at the end of the day, and I know you so what? But you're 8th in the Premier League, and you're still in Europe. You could win a European trophy in back-to-back years.
Jim, please explain to me, right, what is the difference between 8th and 14th, right? It means nothing. So if you're going to go and watch a product that's going to finish between 8th and 14th, I'd rather watch a product that I enjoy watching rather than sitting there just watching the other team having the ball for 80 minutes and we might have 2 attacks in the next 10 minutes and nick it, right? So 8th and 14th, the league position means nothing to me. And with the European trophy, another thing that really does my head in is David Moyes claims he won a European trophy. Please, somebody look at the side we played. And if we hadn't won that European trophy, he should have been sacked on the spot just for not winning that.
You did win it. Let's finish off in a sentence, Simon. Do you want David to carry on until the end of the season, then Sullivan and he can talk?
I didn't want him 2 years ago, so I don't want him tomorrow.
Okay, you don't want him tomorrow. Simon, thank you very much indeed. West Ham fans, none too happy, as you might expect, with a 0-6 against Arsenal. Arsenal fans are saying, enough of this yawn stuff about West Ham. What about us? You're right. We'll get on to you in a minute.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.